Hello, all, and welcome to the GenCast. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Travis.
Is AI good, bad, or is it too early to tell?
Um, all three, right?
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Because, the last time we were talking about AI search versus a Google search.
Yeah, to see, well, really, it was to see if they gave like the resources on an AI search where it like lists what it was pulling from. And in the like little test that I did, it did not do that.
Right. Well, even on a Google search, it's probably not going to do that because on a Google search, you're getting people's opinions. So if you're trying to form an opinion based on other people's experience, I don't think AI is the right
Yeah,
way to go about the whole deal. To whereas if you're just wanting facts or like code snippets or just straight up
right.
answers to an actual question, something that is a factual answer, okay, it may work. I don't know. I haven't tested that part yet, but it's possible
Well,
that could
I
work.
I ran the test again myself, and I asked ChatGPT. And I asked a normal web search the same question. Granted, normal web searches now, you get the Gemini AI thing pop up first before you get anything else below it. So I
True.
did have to scroll past that part.
That is true.
But I asked them both the exact same question. And the question was, which streaming service should I use? Like in terms of like Twitch, YouTube, Kick, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So ChatGPT came up with the best streaming platform, and it said YouTube because, and then listed its reasons, says Kick for second, lists its reasons, Twitch, etc. All right, now let's go over to the Google search.
Wait, Kick is
Granted,
ahead of
this was Reddit
Twitch? Kick is ahead of Twitch?
because of monetary. You get
Okay.
95% of
Okay.
the
Yeah.
revenue.
Okay. Fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So the web search, Reddit was really the only one that pulled up. Granted, so take that with whatever grain of salt you want to take it with. But the question that the person asked on Reddit was, what do you guys think is a better platform to stream on, YouTube or Twitch? At the moment I am maining Twitch, but I multi-stream to YouTube. And then the people in the comment sections are talking about, like, I had this question myself, sum it up, Twitch is easier to just go live on, YouTube is better for getting noticed, blah blah blah. And the more you read down, the more that they say like exactly what my answer was through ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And if I scroll all the way down to the bottom on ChatGPT, it's actually linking that exact Reddit thread
Really?
as a source.
Really?
So it pulled from that Reddit thread and gave basically the same answers that they gave because it used it as its primary source.
That is, it's not too surprising, but it's a little surprising that it's giving you sources that it's reading from to where you can actually go and check it.
And
So,
it also does help you form an opinion, though, because I didn't
right.
have to go and search Reddit to find this when it was just here. And it gave me a breakdown and listed like the high points without me having to scroll all the way through all the comments before somebody says something
Yeah, but
relevant.
that's the joy of the internet is reading everybody's thoughts with this, right?
Sometimes,
Yeah, sometimes,
sometimes,
sometimes.
not all the time,
Not
sometimes.
all the time. Yeah, that's fair. But I am surprised, honestly, that it threw up the links to what it was pulling from. Was that the only link it tossed, or was it more? Was it
No,
multiple?
there are multiple. There are multiple. So I have four source links, as it calls it, to where Reddit is one of the main options, or it's number one, so I'm considering it the main source.
Right.
Quora was its number two, and then it linked to YouTube videos for three and four.
Well, okay. So is it is it pulling from all this information and making a conclusion like a person would, or is it just pulling from all this information and going with the highest number, which is still fair? That's a valid thing, but going from the with the highest number in the search question?
I think it's going with the highest number in the search question, honestly, because it's AI. It's not capable of logically reasoning like a person can. It just knows fact and false.
Okay,
It's not
so
sentient. It can't
so
make decisions.
so I'll do a test right now while we're doing this. Um,
Okay.
let's see, what's the best recording software for video
I can tell you exactly what I was going to say.
between OBS and Mailed?
Oh, no, I can't tell you what it's going to. Well, yeah, I can. It's going to say
This is a good
OBS.
test because I know Mailed is relatively new, so I already know what the answer is going to be.
Yeah, it's going to say OBS because it's been around longer.
Obviously, and that's exactly what it said.
Does it say anything good about Meld, though? I am actually curious.
Um, it does have two more cons than OBS does. It's got two fewer pros than OBS does.
That
And
could boil down to age, though,
everything that I
because it
see,
hasn't been out that long.
everything that I see makes sense. So I mean, I'm not going to argue with it. I mean, I knew that would be a pretty good one because Mailed hadn't been out very long. OBS has been around for a long time, and I know it's extremely popular. So I'm not surprised by the answer here.
Almost everything says OBS.
So,
Always, always,
I mean, I
always.
guess this is a very small sample size, granted, from what you've done, what I've done. So, is it as useful for people? I mean, as people for information and views on like the most optimal um, thing to do, thing to use, whatever? Or would you rather still get like a person's opinion? I know you said it showed you the sources and it linked it. So that's fine. So you can always go read it for yourself. But
Right.
if you want to be lazy and just do a one search and kind of read the outcome, do you think it is as reliable for something not factual, something more opinion based, user experience based?
There's a couple of different ways to word my response on this one. So overall, I kind of take it with a grain of salt. I do ask it some like generic questions every once in a while, just to get a rundown of everything in one spot instead of having to scour through multiple different sites to come to my own conclusion because it is faster and it does save time. But at the same time, it kind of pulls more from whatever its number one source is than it does from anything else, which could lead to it being unreliable because it's focusing on the one that has the most traction.
Yeah, but you would also
And sometimes the
you would do the same thing as a human though. You're going to look for the most responses and kind of filter through them. You're not going to take something that has like one or two comments on versus something that has 100 or 1,000 comments on. Whichever one has the
true,
most, that's the one you would kind of skim through for information that you're looking for, positive or negative, either way.
true, but the loudest voice isn't always the most intelligent or isn't always the best. So
The most correct, yes.
just because like a lot of people say the same thing doesn't mean it's actually the best thing.
Yeah, but usually majority rules. So if the majority says, yeah,
Usually,
it's good, well, then that's probably true. Not
usually.
necessarily,
I
but probably.
If it's something that I know I don't really like, it's not a huge ordeal for me. Yeah, I'll just take what it gives me and I'll run with it. If it's something that is a more big idea or big ordeal, something a little bit more centric, then I'll take what it says and then I'll go through its links and I'll come to my own conclusion, which most of the time actually isn't the same.
So realistically, it doesn't answer it better than the human responses. It answers it
Faster.
faster and gives you the
Yeah,
links to where you can go and research it yourself if you're inclined to do so.
correct. It will 100% do it faster, but faster isn't always better.
but it does keep you from clicking through page after page after page and looking through link
Yeah.
after link after link and reading and reading and reading, where you can basically get the top 1%, let's say, probably 5%, 10%, but let's just call it 1% on the
Oh yeah.
answers for the query that you have done.
I think one of my favorite things, like things that I enjoyed the most about using it specifically, is when I was doing a mic search to figure out what the best mic was at a certain price range. It gave me links to all of the mics, so I didn't have to like copy paste onto Amazon to get it. I could just click the link and it took me to whatever had it for the best price. That was
But
nice.
yeah, but you
That
can
was a
do
huge plus.
that on a straight up search though. You don't need AI for
You
that. You
can.
can do it on a literal browser search.
You can. You absolutely can. But the AI was already open.
Oh, so it goes back to being lazy.
Yes.
Ah, so well, that's not a positive if you're being lazy.
Correct. It's not. But sometimes it does. It's easy to justify the lazy option sometimes, you know?
Um, I don't know if I would say good. I mean, I get it. It's a time
I
saver.
never said it was good. I
You
just
just
said
did.
it's
You
easy
said
to
it was good.
justify it.
That's kind of what you just said. It was good to be use the lazy option. That's what you said.
No, I
Oh,
said
I
it's
heard
easy
you
to
wrong.
justify the lazy option.
Which is the same thing. You're justifying it, which means you're amenable to it. You agree
In
with it. Take the lazy
internal
option.
justification
Take the easy route. Take the easy route and just
isn't
move on.
always the best move, though.
That is true. Because if you get lazy and you're not paying attention, well, then that can turn around and bite you later,
Yeah.
as with
Never
everything
get
else.
complacent.
Right. Complacency. There you go. That's a good way to put that
Yeah,
because
that's one of the better ways to word that.
you're not trying to do better. You're not really thinking for yourself. You're just taking what has come before, accepting it as fact, and going forward with that notion. That's not always the best thing to do. Sometimes trial and error is
But
actually a good thing.
oh yeah, you learn more that way, in my opinion,
Yeah, failure
or in
is
my
good
experience.
in a manner of speaking, anyway.
The fact that it provides all those links and it does like kind of skim. I'm assuming it skims through like the Reddit section to come
Probably.
up with its result. This is an assumption. Don't take it as fact because I'm not 100 on it. But doesn't that kind of worry like a data gathering type perspective? If it's
Yeah,
constantly going out and looking at stuff like that, isn't that kind of in a way
yeah.
gathering data?
In a way, I mean that's kind of how they've been trained is on public data. Even honestly, from things I've read and heard and seen, not even public data. Sometimes it's just data in general. They are trained off of things that actually have a copyright or possibly a trademark, or they're definitely a private IP. And for some reason or another, they still have access to it and can learn from it, which effectively means okay, look at it this way. Because you've used it, so I know you've seen. You have the free option, then you got the paid option. Okay, well, if we look at it from another side of that, if you effectively help train it based on what you have done online or even with your phone, because it's always listening too, why should you have to pay for it? Why are we being charged to use something that we have helped develop unknowingly for the most part and don't really have a way out of other than doing away with the new technology that we have, which I mean, let's face it, who's going to do that? Not many people.
Yeah, because technology made a lot of lives easier,
Well, I mean,
even
yeah,
though it's not always the best thing, but you know.
that's true. But I mean, like we were talking about the last time, we've gone from, the old rotary phones to like touch-tone phones. Now we're at cell phones. I mean, the internet is in your pocket. You are literally walking around with a computer in your pocket these days. Think about it. Okay. And now
Yeah.
it also has AI in it. Okay.
Let's well, actually finish your thought. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that was kind of my thought. You literally have the
Okay.
internet in your pocket and you have an artificial intelligence right there at your fingertip to where you can ask it anything. And going by what you said, it will throw up an answer and give you sources that it pulled that answer from. So you can go check it yourself.
Do you remember when the AI self-driving car was learning how to drive,
Yeah.
but they didn't have it like out and on the streets yet?
Yep.
You remember how they used GTA 5 for it to learn?
I do kind of remember hearing
It
about that.
they
That was a minute ago, so I may have forgotten, but that
Yeah,
does ring a
it was a
bell.
while back, like 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. They trained it using GTA 5, and we are effectively doing the same thing now. We train them by
Using them?
just them uh, using them and the fact that they can scour the internet when something is searched. So they're being trained they could be trained on, like, you without you ever using it.
Exactly.
Like, you put something on Reddit, it scoured Reddit, and it's now trained off of your response that you put in Reddit one day.
Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong. That may not be how they train these models. That's fair. But it definitely seems like they're training them off of publicly available sources. From what I've seen, that's what it looks like.
Oh, yeah. They're trained off of publicly available sources, and they're also trained by you, the consumer, when you use it. Like, actually, I was, messing around with Gemini one day for a little experiment. I wanted to see which one actually came out on top between ChatGPT and Gemini.
You left out Claude though, and
I don't
DeepSeek.
use it. I've never used either one of them.
Claude is
I
actually
also
pretty
left out,
good. Claude is pretty good.
Grok? What was it
Grok,
called?
yeah,
Is that what it's called?
Grok, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I was kinda doing a little self-test comparing between the 2. I don't have to handhold ChatGPT like, that often. I had to literally, like, step by step, word for word, break it down and basically help Gemini learn what I was asking it when I was doing that test.
Yeah, because I've seen articles and people's comments to where it says like the more you use it, the better it learns you and its responses are tailored to you, which makes sense, but it also is worrying
I mean,
because
yeah, because it's learning you.
what are they
It's
going
studying you
what
the whole time.
right what are they going to do with that data later? Even though they say
I mean,
like
it can be
you're
sold to the highest bidder.
yeah, they wouldn't do that though. They would use it and re-implement it and teach the next version of the model based off of the inputs it's received. Even though they claim
They
that
already
your
do.
even though they claim that your chats, your conversations are not used to train the model, I have a very hard time believing that.
No, they already sell your like, while it's learning you, they're already selling your data
They're doing that.
effectively.
They're doing that
That's how
anytime you
targeted
log in.
ads work.
There, that's a little bit of a different conversation, but it's on the same point. Yeah, yeah. That's also kind of my point, though. I mean, on browsers, you have cookies. They track you. They track what you look at, what you read, blah 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 blah. Well, who's to say that AI doesn't also have a cookie involved? I don't know. I haven't researched it that much. I'm just kind of talking out
I
loud
haven't
here.
either. I mean, I didn't even start using it until very recently.
No, me either. I mean, it's useful. I get it, but it also leads me
Yeah,
to wonder. I mean, I was thinking about it tonight. So, like, considering the prompts and the scripts and everything that it spits out, I mean, just from listening to YouTube and reading articles, I've done a little research here in the last few weeks. What's going to come of our like novels, our writers? Are they going to all start using these AI models to kind of give them an outline or help manufacture a storyboard? Or, I mean, all of those are possible. People do it on YouTube all the time. I've seen
oh,
plenty.
yeah, AI is so
I've
successful on
seen
YouTube.
plenty
It's
of
AI
videos.
voices just
Yeah,
reading actually, it's an AI voice reading a script that another AI program wrote.
yeah,
I know this for a fact because I used to run a shorts channel to where I used 3 different AI programs and just uploaded them. I didn't do anything. I just typed stuff in,
yeah. That's kind of
and
my
it
point.
one did this, and the other edited it and added, like, pop-up titles with a highlight thing going across and all that. I didn't do anything other than just give them a rough outline of what I wanted.
Okay, so to take that and slightly turn it, say in this day and age, we will probably not have like another Jules Verne, another Isaac Asimov, another Philip K. Dick. Is that is that done? Is everybody going to start using an AI chatbot agent, as they like to call them, to like
Uh,
kind of brainstorm and give them the outline and possibly even content, and then they just elaborate on it? Which I mean, in some way, that's fine because they had the idea for the
taking
prompt to start with. So I mean, that's fair,
right.
but it
I
feels like it's going to limit creativity to where that is one of the main things that humans are best at, being creative for whatever problem comes up or whatever they're wanting to do. They find a creative solution or they have a creative idea. It's all about creativity.
yeah, I don't see anything wrong with, like, taking inspiration from a prompt given. Like, take YouTube, for example, right? So if I'm looking at my, YouTube Studio board right now, I can go to content, and then I can click inspiration. And then I have Gemini right here, and I can type in a prompt of, like, whatever type of video I'm doing. For this example, we'll use, let's go with podcast on AI. What we're doing, right?
Right.
We'll just use it as an example. And then I have to wait a little bit, and then Gemini itself gives me a title. The title that it popped up, uh, we're gonna go with the second one because the first one doesn't pertain to it. So the second one it popped up is "Podcast on AI: The Ethical Concerns,"
So,
and then
but what you
it
just
gives me
said
like
was
a
like its first response didn't fit or it didn't fit your opinion. Which one is it?
the ethical concerns of the
You,
first one it said?
yeah.
The first one it said didn't fit, what we're talking about.
Then why did it even,
The second
why?
one,
No, 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 no. Why did it suggest
why?
it? Why did it even suggest if it doesn't fit?
Because I'm on my gaming channel and it's already programmed that way.
Oh, so it's confused based on history,
Yeah,
which also tells you what?
yeah,
Which tells you what? It's got a memory. So
I know.
if it's got a
Yeah,
memory, it's obviously learning, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Because the first one was AI and gaming, the future of fun. That one didn't pertain, that's why I went with the second one. So, it'll give me a name, it'll give me what you could put in the description, it gives you, like, a hook breakdown, it gives you an outline, and it gives you multiple different thumbnail ideas.
I mean, that's all good for like inspiration, but
That's what I'm talking about, like, using it for inspiration is one thing, but using what it says and then just slightly changing the words, that's a bit different.
it's effectively plagiarism in a way, but also in a way it's not, depending on how you prompted, because a lot of it's your idea just put into a format. And then you go in and you edit things to fit what you're actually trying to do. I mean, I understand that. And I'm not 100% against it, but I'm probably about 70
Well,
to 80% against it.
I was tying it in with the writer thing that you were bringing up. Like, if they
No, I
use it
got it.
like I just
Yeah.
showed example wise, inspiration is fine. It's just don't give it an outline and then use what it typed out for you as the book. That's that's
Yeah.
not
Okay.
okay.
But that's also my question. How are you going to know if somebody did that or not? You're not. You won't know.
To this, I mean, it depends on how advanced it gets. Because certain
Even
things you can
even
read and you can know that AI wrote it.
even now, you're not going to know. Because just like I said, all they have to do is go in, change a few words, make a few little changes realistically, and then it's done.
I was operating off of the assumption they changed nothing. That would be easier to tell because you can kind of read an AI script and tell that it was such, right?
Mostly because of its punctuation and language, but not always. The language is actually fairly human from what I've seen, but the punctuation sometimes is a little odd, not normal, you know, it's not common.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. It's not common. So,
But could that stem from, like, where it gets its information from? Like, it could be, like, Gen Z slang that it
No,
uses for
no, no,
punctuation.
no, not the punctuation I'm talking about. I mean, because I've read things like I think it's Chat GPT that uses the M dash a lot, and it's just that's not a very common thing, but it does it a lot, often.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah, and for me, just
Yeah.
looking and testing, I've noticed that myself. I'm like, normally people don't do. I mean, I have a habit of doing it myself. Honestly, I do. Either that or an ellipsis, either one. But it's kind of a telltale.
Y yeah, it even did it in the example I read off earlier.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's probably
Huh.
the way it's coded. I'm guessing. I mean, that would be the only logical answer is it's coded to do that. So, I mean, if you start asking an AI for all these answers and you just take whatever they say and basically repeat it verbatim, have you lost the capacity to reason and think for yourself? Or are you just being lazy? Neither one of which is really excusable, honestly. I mean, we all have our times to where we're in a hurry and we just want to get something done. Fair, that's fine. But I'm thinking big picture here. That's probably not a good thing.
I agree, 'cause it definitely does, it can take away reasoning because it's so much easier instead of, like, sitting there debating with yourself or, like, trying to reason something with yourself, it's so much easier just to type it in to ChatGPT. But I also think it stems from a point of validation, like, you're wanting it to validate the decision you've already made.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. It's like, okay, I did this. How does this read? And then they'll kind of change it. And if you like the changes, fine. It's like, okay, yeah, that's actually better. Or they're like, no, that's actually not better. Do it again. Try to make it better because you already have the thing there and you're just wanting it to be improved. Granted, this day and age, we're talking about from an SEO side of things, search engine optimization. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
You want it to get more hits, more views, whatever. Those two things.
yeah.
That is
I
the
mean,
primary goal.
I guess it really depends on, like, what you're using it for to if it's a good or a bad thing. Because if you're just using it to keep yourself from having to think, that's a problem. But if you've already, like, troubleshot or done some troubleshooting and, like, came up with a solution and all that on your own, and you're genuinely just making sure you didn't make a mistake somewhere, I could see to where it's justifiable to ask it a little once over.
Right. Kind of as a proofreader. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really have an issue with that.
Yeah, not copy its homework, but have it look at yours and see if you got the answers right, you know? Like when you're a kid and you ask your parents to, like, go over your math work to make sure you didn't mess anything up. That I think that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. I don't necessarily disagree there. I mean, not really. In a way, I do because at that point, you're not using the things that you've learned over the years in that field. I mean, or just let's just say you're not using the things you learned in English class growing up in school to do it. I mean, grant we all make mistakes. That's perfectly fine. So as a proofreader, that's fine. But
Yeah, that's
it's gonna hit a level, a threshold there to where like one segment is okay and the other is like really just pushing the boundary of what is okay if it's not already beyond it.
yeah.
And I mean,
I
on
mean, we really go ahead.
no, go ahead.
We've really been dealing with, like, AI and stuff like that from, like, Google having its thing, we got Siri.
Yeah, when did Siri come out? Wasn't that like was that
It was
2010?
the iPhone 4S, I
Was that
think. It was either the
2010?
iPhone 4 I think so. Well, the very
2011?
first iPhone
2009? Somewhere along in there?
the very first iPhone was 2007, and it was the iPhone after that, but the, like, S version of it that came out with Siri.
Yeah, but what year did Siri come out? Because I don't even know.
I got you.
I'm already looking it up.
2010.
2010. So I was right. Okay. All right. I was just making sure. I'm trying to have my
iPhone
timeline
4S.
right.
I was right. Yeah, iPhone 4S. I was right.
Okay. So if you think about it from this viewpoint, since 2010, so we're talking 15 years later. Okay. Well, that means we've effectively had an AI of some form for the last 15 years. And it has probably been training off of what we have done, what we have asked, what we have said for the last 15 years. I could be wrong, but I really don't think I am. Just when you look at the speed of advancement, especially here in the last, what, three,
3 years, 4 years.
probably 3 years, maybe five, but definitely three for sure. So since about
I mean, you can't
2022,
tell me that.
after COVID lockdown and everything, that really seems like the point where that exploded.
I gotta make sure my phone can't hear me. You got well. You can't convince me that the whole "Hey Google" thing didn't train Gemini. It's
It
still
had to,
Google.
right? It had to. That was the
Yeah,
beginning. That was the early days. Had to
it
be.
just took all
There's
the
no
"Hey."
way.
Yeah, it just took all the questions that it was asked, and it most likely trained Gemini with that.
I mean, look, we've had AI in video games forever. That's how your NPCs and the enemies are built off of an artificial intelligence that have a limited subset of actions that they can do because it's programmed to do such. But what we're talking about in this
Right.
case is very different because it is not
Yeah.
necessarily coded to do this limited subset of actions or this limited set of actions, rather. I mean, I guess some people would argue that it is. Okay, yeah, maybe. But how much do we actually know? Do we actually know what they're training all of these off of? Do we know what they're going to use later to train these off of? I mean, just look at like the programming professions. I've seen plenty of things about AIs taking people's jobs. Now, granted, there's still plenty of programming jobs to be had. They're still hiring. It's not done. AI is not replacing people necessarily, but in some cases, it definitely is from what I've seen. And I mean, that, as talking personally here, somebody that's trying to learn enough programming to get a job in that sometime in the next year or two, it almost makes me wonder if I'm wasting my time right now, if I should just focus on something else. And granted, I mean, I grew up in construction, so I can always go build things. That's a skill I have. I can do that. But
Let me go ahead and answer.
that is actually work, and I kind of want to be lazy at this point in my life and use my brain and not my back, just to be fair and
Yeah,
honest about it.
getting to that age, yeah.
Exactly.
So I just did a fun thing for both of us. We were talking about what the AI was trained off of.
Yeah.
I asked ChatGPT, what were you trained off of?
Uh-huh.
It says, I was trained on a mixture of licensed data, publicly available data, and data created by human trainers. This includes a wide range of text from books, websites, news articles, code, and other sources that are legally and ethically sourced. OpenAI, the
Now see,
organization behind me,
see,
should not
that's
use private user data, which it's probably coded to say.
bull. I call bull on that one.
Um, I wasn't trained on real-time internet data or anything
Okay.
after my last major update, which includes information up
Ah,
to April 2024
okay. Whoa,
with
whoa, whoa.
some
Back up. No,
access
no,
to
no.
updates in
Back up. What did
2025.
it say after? Okay. What about
After what?
before? What about before that after part?
I don't know. It doesn't tell me.
Exactly. That's my point. So, I mean, look
With
at it from this way. this is what I think. I could be wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. This is my opinion. They've been training these things off of user data for a decade. Okay. That's just what I think. I very well could be wrong. But from
I have
everything
another
I
fun
have
one for you.
seen, I really think I'm right.
I have another fun one for you.
Okay.
This one proves that I am right.
Okay.
I asked Gemini the same question.
Oh,
What
so
were
you're
you trained off
so
of?
you're asking Google's AI.
I'm asking Google's AI, what was it trained off of?
Google is like one of the
It
largest
it
data collection agencies in the world, by the way.
it it has one sentence.
What does it say?
I've been trained by Google.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trained by Google and am a large language model.
Yes, it's
That
an
is what it
LL.
says.
Yeah, they're all LLMs. That's just what they
The
are.
last part I don't care about, but the first part just proves me right. I've been trained by Google.
And okay, so if you have an Android or if you use Google Chrome or anything of that nature, they have your emails, they have everything you have sent in your emails. If you're on the phones, they have your text conversations that they have basically stuck somewhere in a database. And if I'm not mistaken, I've seen to where possibly that data has been sold. I'm not going to say that for sure, but I mean, okay, look, the two biggest, okay, we'll just go top three because they're very obvious. The three biggest data collection entities worldwide is probably Google, followed by Microsoft, and then Apple. And Apple is probably the least offensive of the bunch, but they're still in the category. And I could be wrong. I'm sure a lot of people would hate me saying that, but I'm going to say it anyway. But I mean, this is what companies are doing. Corporations, people that make billions of dollars a year in profits. And most of that is probably on data collection. I mean, yeah, they're making advances. Yeah, they're making our lives easier. That is true. But also, is our privacy being infringed upon for somebody to make a buck? I mean, if you think about
Yeah,
it from
and at
that,
what
if you think about it from, oh, no, no, go ahead. Wait, what?
oh, at what point of all the whole collecting data, selling data, training off of, like, at what point with the technological advancements do we reach transhumanism? Like, really?
That's still a ways down the road. I
Because
mean,
we already have, like, the AI bots, like the full AI bots that can
yeah,
walk
but I mean,
around.
when you're
Like,
talking
the
about,
military's even training some.
yeah, when you're talking about transhumanism, you're basically talking about taking humans and turning them into data and letting them live online. I mean,
Yeah.
more or less, just to make it very simple. The next step would be more of a cyberpunk esque to where it's incorporated into humans.
Yeah, I mean,
And
well,
that leads to a
metaverse was
whole
a whole
other
thing.
topic. But that's, I mean, give it a decade, maybe two. We're probably definitely at the cyberpunk side of it. I mean, even right now, and this is not knocking it because the things they're doing with prosthetics these days are great. They really are. They're helping people. That that
Oh, yeah.
there's really, it's the best it's ever been. But then you
I've
also
I've
have,
even
you also have the things like Neuralink, which is helping people, yes. But think of the
yeah.
possibilities that could come from that with some kind of, um, I don't really know how to word what I'm thinking right now. Just if you look at it and you kind of logically step through it to the end of what a Neuralink type thing could do, could be used for, and the repercussions of such, it's actually very scary. And I mean, just think
Yeah,
about
I mean,
on the other side of that, what if the government starts using that technology too, which we know they will because it's what they do.
oh, yeah. Weaponizing it and stuff.
Exactly. So, I mean, then you're starting to get into all kinds of weird spaces to where, like, the closest things we could think of to talk about there would be like the Matrix and iRobot and stuff like that, even stuff I don't know about. But I
Yeah.
mean, we're getting definitely into older and somewhat newer sci fi territory. I mean, on the one hand, I grew up, I've always been a sci fi fan. Star Trek, Star Wars, what, um, Farscape. And then if you go to video games like Halo, Mass Effect, all that, yeah, it's all sci fi.
Yeah.
It all came from a point way back. But if you stop and look at it, the technology we have now was actually kind of written and talked about 50 plus years ago in some cases, almost 100. And if you really want to go back further, you can go back to Da Vinci's stuff on his contraptions that he designed. And well, that's kind of normal stuff these days.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So if you just stop and look at where we're at now, to where this was being written about, I don't know, probably 40, 50 years ago, because I read a good bit of it growing up. So if you follow that kind of progression through for another, say, 50 years from now, oh, yeah, we're definitely for sure in like a cyberpunk type era, possibly a transhumanist type era. I don't think it'll ever happen on the transhumanist side, but I mean, there will definitely be people that try.
There actually already are a few.
Well, I mean,
Not to the same extent, but they're, you know, cyberpunk cosplay type thing, but not an actual cosplay.
right.
Like actual like body modifications and stuff. There are some people that have already started doing that.
And that's not surprising. And that's what I'm saying. Give it 50 years, and that's probably where we'd be at, just looking at the typical progression rate of everything else that's come before. But see, I also have a question on this side. I mean, everybody knows Asimov's three laws of robotics for the most part. Maybe not everybody, but for the most part. Do we have a three laws for AI? Do we? I mean, I haven't seen it put anywhere. I don't know. Asimov was talking fiction and it was a common sense thing that he wrote, but we're kind of at a time to where it's not fiction anymore. I mean, we're literally, honestly, I mean, you've seen some of the AI robot models. We're effectively in the iRobot era being possible. They're very humanoid looking. They have the capabilities to act mostly human.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything, but I mean, just it's very weird and it's a little bit unsettling. Actually, if you look at it more, it's very unsettling, but it's
Hey,
kind of,
Detroit become human is like
yeah,
it's very
yeah,
possible.
yeah, yeah. That's my point. But see, that is also the point to where the robots Asimov wrote about had the three laws, and well, things still didn't always go the way they were supposed to.
Right.
And we haven't heard
So I
anything about
did
AI having any kind of laws at all. Not that we've
well
heard
I
of.
I just asked an AI. It did list Asimov's laws as an example, and then it went into OpenAI's laws that were included as more like hardly coded list of laws that it has to follow. Do not harm. I avoid encouraging dangerous behavior or giving harmful advice.
Okay, and
Respect
see, yeah,
privacy.
but on that point, giving harmful advice, I saw one literally yesterday to where somebody told the woman to divorce her husband because of coffee. And we've heard other things come out about people being told to kill themselves by AI. I mean, it's just I don't know if it's true. I can't like validate it.
I can't either. I'm just asking questions to see if we get anything possible out of it. So respect privacy was the second one. Be honest about my abilities was the third one, and refuse inappropriate requests, like no illegal activities or anything like that.
Hmm. I just don't know.
But I've also seen ways to break ChatGPT and make it do illegal activities or tell you how to do illegal activities by phrasing your question differently. The videos exist on the internet. I'm not going to describe it myself, but they exist.
Okay, let's roll back a little bit. Let's go back to Asimov for a second because I really feel that's important. I don't know why, but that has always resonated with me. Like the three laws, that's just it's common sense, and he actually says so. He believed, this is by Wikipedia, that ideally humans would also follow the laws. Ideally, yes. In actuality, no. Some of them don't. Okay, and see, he also says that the three laws are the only way in which rational human beings can deal with robots or with anything else. So we're throwing AI into that category right now, too. Okay. And it goes on to say,
Yeah.
but when I say that, this is him speaking, I always remember, sadly, that human beings are not always rational. That is also true. We are not always 100% rational people. Sometimes the irrational part takes hold. Now, you can be forced into being irrational by needing money, being greedy, being told to do this. There's many different ways that you can wind up being irrational and kind of ignoring that part. So if you kind of flip it just a little bit, or these companies that are creating all these AI, they're definitely not human beings. They are run by human beings, but they are also powered and fueled by money and dividends and shareholders. So the rational people behind this may have different motives, possibly. I mean, I don't know. And like we had talked about earlier, I had read an article on Westminster Media. And one of the quotes there was, the robot's morality is the creator's morality. What the creator thinks right is what the robot believes to be right. So if these AI are coded via people that don't believe, let's just take, for instance, like Asimov's ideals on robotics, it will probably not be that, right? So there's no governing three laws there. So what's the governing rules? What makes them safe? Let's go with that word. I mean, that's the best word I can think of, honestly.
We will never know.
Um, yeah, we may
Well,
know,
we
but
can know,
by
but
time we do know, it's going to be too late, and it's not going to matter. I don't know though. I
exactly.
mean, time will tell. Time will tell. I mean, just if you just look at it from like a personal perspective, like our views on it, which is all we ever talk about anyway. It's our opinions. We don't really like
Correct.
base our views on facts. We base it on what we think, how we feel about it. You can't say we're wrong because you can't argue with somebody's opinion. It's their opinion. It's fine. I mean, we do bring up some things that are factual. They are quoted. We didn't make those up. And you kind of have to take your opinions and facts and kind of smush them together
Yeah.
to actually have a conclusion or a, I don't want to say opinion because that's not what I'm trying to say. Conclusion is the best. A viewpoint on something. You take what you feel about it, what you think about it, and then you take the facts that you are able to find and read and know about it, and you put them both together, and that's where you get your conclusion from. I could be wrong. This is how I do it. This is how I think. I take what I think,
That's also how I do it.
I take what I know, and then I put them together and say, okay, this is the facts. This is how I view it. And then things just kind of mix from there to get my views on the topic. That's just how it works. I'm not going to believe any one person's word. I may believe 10, 20, or 100, but I'm still going to have my own personal opinion on it. And it may never change. I don't know. It just depends on how strong the argument is. But I mean, just to make it abundantly clear, AI it's a cool progression. It's interesting. It's stuff I wish I'd had when I was younger, but I'm very, very glad we did not. Okay. Because who knows what would be going on right now if we did.
Yeah, I could see that existing in the '80s and today being drastically different.
I mean, that would be like me growing up in your time. That's it would I don't know where we'd be right now. We'd probably be closer to the cyberpunk transhumanist type view that we were talking about earlier. I don't know. It's possible. It may not be possible, but it just logically thinking about it, that seems like where it would wind up roughly around this time period, give or take a decade.
Yeah,
So I don't know. So I guess what we wound up with here at the end of a 50-minute talk ish is AI good? Is it bad? Or is it to be determined? All three, I guess.
all 3.
All
Yeah.
three. I mean,
Uh,
it doesn't seem to be any of the three. It's just all three.
a definitive answer is definitely to be determined.
The jury is out for now. Time will
Yeah,
tell. So yeah, I mean,
time reveals all.
thank everybody for listening or watching if you are watching. Until next time.